What's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in at this time. Everybody that's here, greatly appreciate it. Anybody watching the replay, thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Here for another Lethal Collective. Gentlemen, how are you feeling today?
Pumped.
Pump.
I'm over the moon, baby. I'm ready to milk that ghost-faced heat. Let's get to it, baby.
Yeah, get it up.
Get it up.
I have nipples, Jake. Can you milk me?
Yeah.
I was just thinking that.
I'll bring my Mason's jars, baby. We'll do it after the stream. Anyways, sorry.
So we're gonna dive into the Scream 7 trailer here. We finally got it. There was a lot of questions of, are we gonna get it? Are we not gonna get it? What's gonna happen? And we ended up getting it the day before Halloween, which was beautiful. Right. We're gonna dive into our thoughts, opinions, all that basic stuff of the trailer, all of that stuff. It's unfortunate. I do want to say, Craven, you guys all see him down in the corner. I'm sure you guys felt the same watching that trailer. I was just like, It hurt. I had the excitement, I had the joy, I had the let's go. And then I was just like, oh man, I know he's watching it over our shoulders, right? And then you spoiler, Stu's voice at the end of the trailer. I know he was like, I told you, Tyler. And I was like, man. Go away, dude. The movie comes out before you start taunting me, before you start haunting me.
Right.
But no, it was a big part that I was like, man, it's a bummer that he wasn't able to see it. But like I said, we're gonna get into all the trailer. Appreciate everybody here. Just kind of blanket hello. I'll pop up questions and stuff like that while we're talking and chatting and all that stuff. Real quick, hit that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button for me. Also, go subscribe to Killjoy Jake, the Nightwatch Zone, and their YouTube channels as well, because the Lethal Collective we cycle through. But dive right into it, gentlemen. Let's start with the just general thoughts of the trailer. What were your thoughts of the Scream 7 trailer? And we'll start with Jake and then go to Knight. What do you think, Jake?
I was happy with it, dude. I had so many thoughts going into it, thinking to myself, me and Knight talked about this a lot on Thursday, that I wanted to see, there was 2 or 3 things that I'm like, if I see these 3 things, I'll be happy. I saw all 3 of them. I was just watching that trailer. I was like, check, and check. So I was astonished. I would go so far as to say 10 out of 10, 5 stars. I'm a happy Scream fan as of right now. Burning down Stu's house is sick. I'm sure we'll get into the details and all that, the nitty gritty throughout this, but initial impression, baby, I'm happy.
I mean, I second that. I mean, that day was just hype city, basically, and it came out, like we all heard, and it came out earlier than I thought it would, though. I gotta admit, because I was scrambling hardcore to try to do a reaction to it, and then me and Jake, we went on that night. But it was just so much. It's a fun trailer. It really. The thing that got me was it felt like it was going to go back to the whole idea of having some suspense, some moments that we can really kind of be on edge. I think of scenes like in Scream 2 when Sydney's in the car, or when Ghostface is chasing Gale, things like that. That crawl space scene, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And Ghostface is athletic as a son of a bitch, man. I kept saying that to Jake. He was cracking up. When he jumps out of the attic, I was like, this is like superhero stuff, man. So it had a lot of energy. It looked like it's going to have the suspense, but I think one of the biggest things for me was it truly looks like Nev is going to have some really good stuff to work with in this film, and I think it could quite possibly be the best Sydney film, if everything kind of goes the way we're hoping. Because, this is obviously a very near and dear story for her. So I was really excited to see that it truly looks like, Sydney is back, baby. We're not doing the stuff we did in Scream 5. We're back. So I was hyped up, man. I really was.
I just general thoughts, I loved it. I felt like it didn't really give too much. We'll get into a couple things that I thought maybe it spoiled that we'll talk about. But I thought for the most part, it was kind of what you hoped for, right? Kind of generalized, like, hey, here's some characters, here's some pieces and whatnot. I thought, it kind of set the tone for what you wanted. Got excited. It's killing views. It's got 60 million views across all platforms and stuff like that. Again, I made a video earlier talking about how, like, to me, this is more reason to do the marketing, right? Like, you see the success. I had a couple people that, in the comments that were like, it got 60 million views and you're worried about marketing. It's like, yes. Because again, like, Trailer, you got to think, out of that 60 million, how many people actually watched it across? How many people watched it on like Twitter plus this? Like, and you want this to be as successful as possible, especially with Scream 8 already greenlit. And I want to see this just blow everything out of the water. Look at how successful horror films are right now. Like, especially with like Conjuring and things like that. You think of Scream and how big of an IP it is. I want this to just smack everything out of the park, blow everything out of the water. So I'm hopeful. Real quick, we'll get into a couple more things, but also, Erica, thank you. I mentioned Jake and Knight's channel. I didn't mention Craven. My apologies. Yes, go subscribe to Craven Something Scary. Yes. Lots of stuff on that channel. Seriously. I know he's not with us, but when you're watching his channel, he is with us, and he's got a ton of content and things like that. We want to keep his memory alive here. So obviously subscribe to myself, Jake, and Knight, but also Craven as well, for all of us. And then real quick, we got a super chat from Tatum. Thank you so much. I'll have little breaks for the super chats, so trickle the super chats in, and then we'll make little pauses to answer them. Get it up. Get it. Let's go. Scream 7. I love it. It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Tatum, and appreciate all of you being here. And yes, let's go. We got Scream 7. So what are some of the, like, Jake, you mentioned kind of key points that you wanted to hit on. What are some of the key points generally that you really wanted to see with this trailer, that satisfied with the trailer, that also maybe some key points that maybe you didn't see with the trailer, if any?
Well, hit the pause button real quick, Fate decided, because is that Tatum, Sydney's daughter, out there in the chat?
There you
we have
go.
a celebrity in our midst, baby. Sorry,
Yeah.
just had to get that out there. But listen, for realsies, a few of those bullet points for me at least, and I'll kind of run through these quick because poor Night Watch Zone down there has just been hearing me say this. His ears are going to start bleeding because he's just like, Jake, shut up, dude. But few of those things for me was I don't think that Ghostface chasing around Sidney Prescott with a knife is going to work anymore for a couple of reasons. Biggest thing though is because we have the director saying we're never going to kill our main character. You know what I mean? And that's tough. That's tough for any slasher movie to approach that. You got to find creative workarounds, and clearly they have. Knight mentioned the crawl space scene where we're going through the walls. From the plot description, we learned that Ghostface is specifically going after the daughter, which I know that might be a point of contention. A lot of people want this to be Sydney focused, but I just don't think there's tension with chasing Sydney around anymore. She's not going to die. She's never going to die. This is going to have a happy ending, whether we like it or not. We know the ending of this movie. It's a Scream movie. That's what it's going to be at this point. But it's okay. I don't want to complain about things we can't change. But on top of that, I also really liked that this is just a personal one. Mark is dead. There is no way Mark is not dead. Mark is gonna die. We're making room for Mark Kincaid. McDreamy is moving in Scream 8, baby. It's happening. So that's definitely happening from the trailer. They spoiled the kill. I don't even care. Like, honestly, dude. If people are upset about that, it's Joel. It's. Do you think it's not Joel?
No, I definitely.
No, it definitely looks like Joel.
Yeah, you got the plastic, and then you see blood splat. But we've even talked about Scream trailers, especially with this iteration, have had stuff in the trailer that wasn't in the movie.
That's true.
Right?
The angel pose, baby.
Yeah. So.
I'm
just saying.
I want that angel pose scene.
Or how about this though? And this is something that came to me just the other day after our Thursday night stream. What if that's like a dream?
True.
Or a nightmare?
If we're messing around with like flashbacks in this, it could be that, right? So.
Yeah, but
I'm just throwing it out there as a devil's advocate.
But it looked like it was Mark. It looked like it was Sydney's husband. So, I don't know how that flashback, I don't think it worked, but maybe it's something, maybe Sydney has a dream or something about Mark dying, and that's kind of, the way that he died. But that's a very specific way to die. You know what I mean? Like,
It
it'd be
is.
one thing if he just was like, Sydney, where are you? And then just gets stabbed in the back or something, like Dewey-esque. And we just kind of like, I can see something like that. But he gets wrapped up in plastic and then just and then
the blood spray.
Yeah.
I'm also surprised that they do the football tackle in the first place. Why not because it's from the side. Why not just go and stab him from the side?
Yeah.
I mean,
This is an athletic ghost face. Going back to that, it's somebody
That's
with.
true.
It can't be somebody with some old ass knees, you know.
It's just
Oh my
tracking folks
God.
down. I'm hopeful though, because one of the things that I really wanted is a tactical Ghostface that's brutal. And he looks at like I've said, if you can give me Scream 5's brutality of Ghostface with the kind of tactical, athletic kind of, dodging shotguns and stuff with shotgun shots. Like, give me that, marry those two. I think you got like the perfect Ghostface. But Knight, what were your thoughts on, or what were your kind of key points? And were there any that you didn't get that you're disappointed about?
Well, I think one of the things I was hoping, that I always hope with a Scream film, is that there's something that feels fresh about it, which is obviously super difficult to do for any franchise that has been around this long. So, there were some things that felt different, that looked different, as far as how Ghostface was portrayed, which is a good thing. Like I said, this whole tactical thing, I love it. I don't want to see him tripping over rugs and all that type of stuff. This is not Scary Movie, but the one thing I wish that we could have seen, it's kind of like a gift and a curse. I think I wanted to see a little bit more of, like Gale, and not so much, maybe they're holding back, if she does truly have like 20, whatever it was, we found out 24 minutes or whatever of screen time, maybe they're holding back some big things, which I appreciate that. But I would have loved to have seen a little bit more of her. We got a little bit of Chad and Mindy. I guess that was okay. That badass scene with Mindy, fighting Ghostface, that was great. It looked really good. Ghostface is not playing around. He's jumping up on tables. He's, sitting up from a lying down position like Michael Myers. He's jumping down attics. He's doing everything. So I think in general, I got pretty much what I wanted, because the biggest part is I just didn't want too much given away. Now, granted, we've been talking about Joel, and that's fair. But again, like you said, maybe, just maybe, it's a misdirect of sorts. Who knows? But that was pretty much it for me.
So personally, I thought I wanted to keep. Obviously, I wanted nothing majorly spoilerish in the trailer.
Right.
Again, there are a couple things that I think are. We'll touch on those here in a little bit. No, I wanted, in a lot of ways, simplicity. Kind of lay out the story in a way, right? Like, obviously, this is pertaining to Sydney and her daughter. Sydney's daughter appears to kind of be the main focus, the main target. Also, or at least from the trailer, it seems like it's somebody from the past. Because Ghostface keeps saying, where we grew up, and when we grew up, and I want to burn it all down, and blah, blah, blah. So it kind of leads to a couple things. But obviously, I enjoyed the trailer. I thought it was just enough of that like kind of dopamine hit to get us pumped, get us excited for this film. And I'm hoping that it, we'll probably get another trailer at some point. I hope that they kind of keep it in this realm. But speaking of the past, might as well get into this. Stu, right? Our buddy Craven really wants Stu to return. And there were some Easter eggs in that. Obviously, Stu's house being burnt down.
Yep.
Right? And I see people why would Stu want to burn down his house? The whole point is you start anew, burning it all down, taking everything, that Stu's house is such a symbol now. So, it's this Airbnb. It's something that it wasn't, right? Like that, and like, why not burn it down if you're him? You got that. Obviously, you got Stu at the end of the trailer where he says, this will be fun, I think is what he says.
Yeah.
And you have little, like I said, the we type things where it's like, when we grew up, where we grew up type thing, kind of alluding to it, somebody from the past, right? You got a lot of Stu symbolisms. I do want to say, and I said this, we had that Lethal stream because Matthew Lillard said that they were going to introduce Stu in the trailer, right? That was going to be the original introduction. I said, that was the original plan. Is that still the plan? And we didn't get to actually see Stu in this movie. But we got, like I said, little hits. Do you guys think that's enough to where you're comfortable saying that you think Stu is in this? Or what are your thoughts on Stu actually being in this? Not as the AI deepfake, because that's probably what it is. Oh, one last point I think is important. Before Stu, you get Dewey's voice.
Yeah.
And I think that was great because if you just get Stu's voice, everyone goes, ooh, Stu must be alive. It must be that. We know Dewey's dead for sure, right? So the fact that you get Dewey's voice earlier, signaling the fake voice and voice change, stuff like that, I thought was a nice touch to not spoil, we don't know either way, even with the voice, but I think it kind of calmed expectations of hearing Stu's voice at the end. But what are your guys' take on Stu? Knight, let's start with you this time. We'll go the other way.
I think I feel pretty much the same way I felt before seeing the trailer. I feel as though this is going to be one of those types of things where it's like a double twist. The AI stuff is going to obviously play with, is he alive? Is he not? It's going to look like he's not. It's going to fool, Sydney and all that type of stuff, possibly. And then at the end, I really do think he's going to be revealed at the end in some way, shape, or form. It could be the last 10 minutes of the movie or whatever. I do think we'll have a flashback. I think everything, as far as what Scott's involvement is, it just makes sense to me to show some type of a flashback that would, involve Stu. And that's really where I'm at with it. I just think that you're bringing Matthew Lillard on. I just can't see them only having his voice or just having, the deep fake thing or whatever. I just see that would be a huge swing and a miss,
What about a flashback? Do you think a flashback would satisfy it?
Well, I think a flashback would satisfy some folks, and if it's a really great flashback, I might be okay with that too. I think if they do a flashback, the thing that they've got to do is obviously it has to be something that will strengthen the mythology, and most likely it'll strengthen Roman, which is actually a good thing, because I think that would kind of bring all the movies together a little bit better, because Roman's the mastermind. There was a lot of telling, but there's no showing, right? Show me, don't tell me type of thing. So I think that could be great, but I think they'd also have to do something that will twist what we thought happened. You know what I'm saying? Something that would just be, and I'm not saying something, huge, but just something that's like, oh, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? I think that would be not only great for the movie, but just great for the whole franchise, to make us look at it a little bit differently. So it could be a flashback only. I tend to think it's not. And for all we know, you mentioned it earlier, this whole idea of, I'm going to burn it down and all that type of stuff. You got the Airbnb. You notice on the floor, we saw the outlines of Amber, Richie, Billy. We didn't see Stu, and I'm sure that was, on purpose, marketing wise. But maybe it's the type of thing where he's like, you know what? This wasn't a game. This was real life to me. You guys think it's a game. You're making mockery of it. Maybe that is part of the play in it too. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was saying this before the trailer, and I'm sticking with my theory. I think they're making it too obvious that Stu is a focal point of this movie. I think it would just be too easy for them to be like, oh, Stu's alive and he's a cult leader or something. I just, man, it's too obvious. There's a million nods to it in the trailer. A million. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not by much. I just think if I'm Kevin Williamson and I want to do something that, it's got to connect to the past and it's got to be a family motive. This is Scream, like it or not. That's what we're always getting from this franchise. I learned that the hard way watching Scream 6. It's going to be like Stu's sister or Stu's, long lost relative of some sort. It's going to be, that's how it's going to connect to the past. It's someone from Woodsboro that grew up with Sydney, but maybe was at a distance. Kind of Judy Hicks, but turn her into a killer, essentially. That's another thought I had in the last couple of days, because I'm like, Judy Hicks kind of had a little bit of a red herring thing in Scream 4.
Yes.
Especially when she's standing on the stair, the balcony,
those,
or not
those
balcony,
eyes.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah.
Think that, but with Leslie Mocker, you know what I mean? And this would be a character who would be, you could put her at a distance. Maybe she's not even in the same scenes as Sydney, or you could if this isn't a Debbie Salt situation. I've gotten a plethora of contents about that where people are like, well, wouldn't she recognize her? Well, no, it's been like 30 years, dude. Would you, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm 10 years out almost from high school. I wouldn't recognize some of the people I went to high school with at this point. Someone 30, you know what I mean? 30 years out. I don't know. I don't think I would recognize this person.
Mm-hmm.
See, so my only thing with that, because I've gotten a lot of people that have said that too, like, I can understand, like, Leslie Mocker would have had to have been older than them, right? Like,
there's that too, yeah.
Just based on, well, because her kid Vince, right? He was in his 20s, so she has to be at least older than Sydney by at least a handful of years, right?
Yeah.
So my only thing is, like, if she was younger, right? Like, let's say she was like 10. Yeah, from 10 to 30, or 10 to 30 or 40, you're a completely different person. But from like 24 to 40, you're kind of the, unless you were like, really heavy set and really slimmed down. I mean, if she's somewhere in the realm, right, that's why Mrs. Loomis went and did all the work, got all the work done, and still avoided her, just because, again, it's hard to kind of mask in the mannerisms. Like, it'd also be different if they grew up in like a big city like New York. You might not really see them. They're in a small town. They grew up together. Kirby and Sam hadn't seen each other in like 20 years, and they immediately recognized each other. They immediately were like, oh my God. Like, I mean, look at Kirby. Kirby's, she would have been 17 and she looks the same. I don't think Sydney wouldn't, like, if it's Anna Camp, who you didn't see in the trailer. Let's say it's Anna Camp as Leslie Mocker. I just feel like she would because they're supposed to be friends. It'd be different if it's in passing. You know what I mean? Like, you're at a coffee shop and somebody's like, oh, hey, Jake. And you're like, hey, like, how are you? It's another thing if you're hanging with them all the time, right? Like, go ahead.
But do you think but that's my question, I guess. Do you think Stu's sister and Sydney Prescott were friends back in Woodsboro? Would they have hung out all the time?
No,
and especially if she was older,
Not necessarily hanging out, but her and Stu, and like that, Stu's house was the hangout, right? That was the kicking spot. That's where they all went and hung out. That's where Tatum and Stu were dating, right? Like for however long. Like, Sydney had to have been at that house regularly. It's a small town with however many houses, and she's best friends with the dude's girlfriend, and she's friends with him, and Billy and Stu are best friends. So
Tatum and Stu didn't date until there's a line about that in the original movie too. That just hit me. They started dating because it wasn't
Casey Becker.
Yes, that's what it was.
On Casey Becker. Yeah, but that was like wild because Tatum and Stu were together for a while. Yeah, they were together for a while. So, like, okay, let's say 4 months. Right, but that's also not counting like how close were Sydney and Casey. Right, it's a small town again. Like, how close were Sydney was dating Billy for at least a year, so Stu and Billy were BFFs. So my point is, like, she would have been around her enough to know. Right, and they grew up in that town.
I guess you could write it as like you said, she has to be an older character based on how old her son is. You know what I mean? You could write it that she was at college or something.
They handcuffed themselves to her age, where if they kind of just left it ominous, you could have had her be whatever you wanted, right? Like, why wasn't she around? Mom and dad went away. She's 10. They're not going to leave them with their 17-year-old son, right? But the problem is that you basically locked her into being, in her 40s at least by the time we get to Scream 5, because she has a 20, even if she had a kid at like 16, she'd still be 40. So she has to be in her 40s at least. She has to be mid 40s at that point. Like, that's
it also does beg the question, like Knight was saying earlier. I mean, this is a tactical jumping around Ghostface, like very, very athletic. So, like, could it be someone who's older? Like, I was even saying that. I think I said the Knight on another stream. I'm like, I wouldn't jump out of an attic like that at my age.
I would not even when I was in my mid 20s or so.
Because I'm falling on my face, like straight up.
That also begged the question too that, most likely we're talking about, you could have a younger soldier, so to speak, and then of course you got the older. Because the one thing about this trailer, and going through it so many times, and again, I know people will say, oh well, the stunt people, they're gonna look this way and the actors look that way. What if they chose to make it a little bit closer to, who the actual actor is? But also, Ghostface looked different in some of those shots. Like the Ghostface that jumped down looked a little bit different than the one that was in the kitchen, in the back of the bar or whatever, or coffee shop or whatever. The shoulders looked a lot slimmer. I mean, and that's a whole rabbit trail that I went through the other night, so I won't go down that. But I'm just saying, is like, I'm thinking, obviously, there's got to at least be two. I don't know if we can all agree on that, but it's got to be at least two. We're not going to pull a Scream 3 anymore. But what if there's like three?
I mean, they go the cult route. They could have several. You know what I mean? Like, and not just that, but Ghostface that's doing the kills doesn't have to necessarily be the mastermind. So the one that's making the calls, the one that's talking to Sydney, the one that's doing that, doesn't have to necessarily be the one that's running around being all tactical and, dropping down from ceilings and shit, just parasailing down and, just like, it doesn't have to be the same. Like, you could have different avenues. So, okay, that leads me to kind of the next tie-in, which would be, okay, how likely do we think it's Leslie Mocker? Right? Do we lean more Leslie Mocker than Stu? Is it kind of 50-50? What about you, Knight, since you were the last one that was just chiming in?
I mean, I think that I don't know if I want to say 50-50, but it's pretty damn close to 50-50. I mean,
cards on the table. What do you pick?
If I have to pick one or the other?
Pressure's on.
Leslie or Stu?
I honestly think it's both. I think they're both in on this, because here's the thing to me. And Jake said this too. Yes, Stu coming back, it takes away a lot of the mystery. People are already excited about it, much different than the town we grew up in and this and that. So it's like, how can you still try to squeeze some type of mystery out of it? And I think with the whole idea of the voices and the AI and people just wondering, back and forth, there's so many people saying it's not going to happen. People saying that it is. We saw what happened in 5 and 6, and he still didn't come back. So I think there's still question marks there. Not everybody was like Steven was, like 100%. It's right there. I love him, but not many people were like that. So I think it could be a thing where Leslie is a part of this. Maybe Stu manipulated her. Maybe Stu manipulated her to kind of be in the forefront. And also maybe another Ghostface killer. Who knows? I mean, one thing that is emotional is the fact that Vince got killed. So maybe there's that part where he's like, you want to do this. Sydney's the whole reason why my nephew got killed, blah, 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 blah. I mean, again, it's a lot of familial ties and all that. It's kind of been done over and over and over again. But, I mean, it was there, So maybe that's part of how he manipulates her. Is by using Vince, and maybe she's also kind of unbalanced. So I personally think, because I still think that Stu is going to be revealed, but I think it's both of them. Maybe that's a cop out, but but I really do.
I will say, if we're just gonna retcon shit and we're just gonna say that Stu's alive, like if that's the route we're definitely going down, it would be kind of funny to think that he's been like rotting in this basement, like Leslie Mocker's basement for 30 years, and he just looks like Gollum. He's all hunched over with gray skin and wispy hair. I mean, that would be, I'll be honest, I love gross and weird stuff. If that's the route we took it, and Anna Camp is worshiping her like fucked up brother in a basement, okay, you know what? Stu can come back in that case, sure, whatever. But my honest to God, what I think it is, based off the trailer, I was kind of speculating this a little bit before, but we have never done two female ghost faces, and I'm genuinely thinking it's a mother-daughter combo to face up against like good mother-daughter combo versus evil mother-daughter combo. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be McKenna Grace because she's got the blue plaid skirt. Dude,
right.
Come on, it's right there.
When I saw that, I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
It's right there, dude. I think she's the young blood, and then her mom is running the show, and she's Stu's sister. But I think for me at least, what's more interesting about a Ghostface is the motive. Why Leslie Mocker? Why now after 30 years? I really think that Vince's death set her into motion, into doing all this in the first place. But why go after Sydney and her daughter? I think because she just blames Ghostfaces collectively on Sydney. Yeah, and I know, you could argue, well, wasn't that kind of part of like the Sam Carpenter stuff? I think if it's Leslie and she's someone who is a deranged individual that is going to go so far as to force her daughter to kill people alongside her, could you not see her finding a way to connect that back to the original, like this franchise always finds a way to do? That's kind of why I'm into it. That's kind of why I'm picking up the pieces of what this trailer is giving me, and that's kind of what I feel is coming out, at least in my mind.
That's fair. I actually kind of lean towards Night. Like, again, I don't want Stu to return, but I think if they were ever going to do it, this is the movie to do it. And I think if you do it, I did the full explanation of how I would have Stu return in one of the Lethal Collectors, so I won't do it again. But I did a video on this channel if you're interested. But I just think it makes, like, you use Leslie as the foundation to lay the groundwork for Stu. And then in the end, everyone's like, oh, it's going to be Stu. Mask comes off. It's not Stu, it's Leslie Mocker. And now everyone's expectations are, down, like, man, it wasn't Stu, it was that. And then they take out Leslie. And then at the very end, Stu shows up. And now everyone's at a 10 again. And then that carries over into Scream 8, which we know is already great. It's kind of, go ahead.
Did fate decided just say that Stu was going to come back to life? Did that just happen?
I don't want it to happen. What I think will happen and what I want to happen are two different things. Let's slow down, Jake, okay?
Where is fate and what have you done with him?
I don't want Stu to come back. I don't expect Stu to come back. But if they were ever going to bring Stu back, if they don't bring Stu back in this next two films, then what's the point? Right? You should just let it be dead. I just want an answer one way or another. I either want you to just, it's Leslie at the end, and she's like, you killed my brother, and now, boom, we got confirmation he's dead. Yeah, there's still going to be some naysayers that are like, no, he's hiding from her too. Like, there's still going to be like those naysayers, but I just want the definitive, because they keep playing the back and forth game. And that's my problem, right? So, go ahead.
Let me just throw this out too. I mean, it's not totally connected to this, but the whole idea of Scott being in the film and the possibility of a flashback that shows something, what if they show that Roman had something to do with Stu? Like maybe there's a scene that shows after the events of 96. I mean, like literally like right after. Maybe he had something to do with trying to cover up some stuff. I mean, being a person that got into the movie business, faking deaths and all that type of stuff. Maybe that was a knack that he had, when he was a little bit younger as well, and because he set things in motion according, obviously to 3, it's canon. Maybe that was the type of situation where he was kind of keeping his eye on what was going on or something. I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of reaching with all of that, but I'm just saying, if you're bringing Roman back, I just feel the reason to do it is to show us something that we didn't know, or to at least validate him And if you're going to validate him, why not also, hit a home run and really link this to what's going on in this story, which obviously a big part of it is Stu. Whether he is alive or dead, this movie is, as much as it's Sid-centric, it's Stu-centric as well.
I just don't want them to get too convoluted. Like, I don't want it to start getting, and then now it's like the Always Sunny meme with all these web. Like, I want it, because then you start getting carried away. Then it starts losing perspective. Like, I want there to be purpose with this film, right? Like, that's the word that I think best suits this film. I feel like Scream 5 and 6 didn't really have true purpose. It just kind of felt like they just were kind of like juggling things. I want this to have like the definitive, like, here's the family, it's Ghostface targeting the family. Like, Scream 96, Scream 2, like, these films had purpose. Even Scream 4 had purpose. However you felt about the films and where you rank them and stuff like that, at least they had purpose. I feel like Scream 5 was trying to juggle 15 different things and, trying to, like, make Sam, like, it just, and then you get into Scream 6, I felt like they just tried to, like, take it up a notch. I'd rather, let's just get back to simplicity. Let's get back to the basics here, right? You have a real good opportunity to really lay a foundation for many films to come. And I think Tatum's going to be in the forefront, right? Like, there's something that I want to talk about here in a moment, but I want to get into a few quick things, and then we'll touch on that thing. But yeah, anyway, does anyone have anything else to add real quick with Stu before I jump into the next thing? No? Good.
You know what? I'll throw this out there just real quick. I was talking with Eric from the Bearded Entertainment this past weekend. I'm so sorry to segue, but I'm too excited about all this not to. Eric and I, we were attending an award show, and our short film won best film at the 48-hour Cleveland Horror Film Festival. So thought that was kind of dope.
Thanks for ruining my next transition. That's what I was going to bring up next. I was going to give you your flowers.
I'm a jackass. I had to bring it up.
But yes.
But
real quick,
Eric and I, of course, instead of talking about that, we were getting into Stu stuff, of course. And his big thing was he's like, just there's 1,000 clues outside of even the trailer. And like a big theory that he came up with that he was telling me about is that every Scream film kind of has a theme. You know what I mean? If it's the original being just like slasher films, sequels for the next one, franchises, whatever, every prequels, remakes, yada yada. He was thinking, he's like, well, what if the topic, no matter what happens, if Stu is alive or dead, what if the topic here is retcons? Like, and that's why there's such a Halloween focus. And I'm like, that's actually kind of sick. Like, I don't even know what's going to happen in that case, but I do kind of like the idea of the theme being retcons and what that means for franchises, and for Scream 7 to kind of hit on that a bit. I wanted to throw that out there because I just thought that was such an interesting like theme for this one. You know what I mean? We're kind of running out of stuff for Scream to hit on. Right. So it's like, if that's the next step, okay, cool.
Yeah. I think that's something that makes sense. But Killjoy Jake here. Before he ruined this segment, no, but in all seriousness, Jake won a bunch of awards for a project that he did, and I wanted him to take a few moments and tell him the channel because it's not on Killjoy Jake. Tell him the movie, give him a little synopsis, and tell him about your achievements because it is. We are sitting next to a legend here. And it's awesome.
Yep, pretty much.
But yeah,
thank you for being the first person to bring that up on stream, Fate. It really does mean a lot to me.
I really had it on my notes of like the segment. I wanted to make sure.
I'm being an ass. I'm sorry. No, but yeah. No, it was crazy, man. We did. This is our second year doing the 48-hour film festival, and I mean, this was just a major shock. I mean, I'm just so thankful. I'm unbelievably grateful for the whole thing, and it's a blast. It's over on our group productions channel, which is called Human Egg Productions. Go subscribe. And the short film, it's a found footage short called Brahmin Synthetic. It's I don't want to say what it's about, but go watch it. If you like the VHS franchise, it's totally inspired by that. And 'tis the season and all that. We just got a brand new VHS flick, so why not have a little bit of that inspiration in there? I guess that's where our heads were when we were doing it. But the thing about the 48-hour film fest, and I'm sorry, I'm going as fast as I can. I want to get past this.
Take it down. Go. This is your moment.
you literally write, produce, and edit an entire short film in 48 hours, and like a bunch of other teams do it, and somehow, some way, we got best film out of everybody here in Cleveland so far. So, and last thing I'll say, it's because we won. Our short film will premiere in Portugal this March.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yes. Yeah, at a bigger film festival, it'll premiere in Portugal this upcoming March, which is crazy. So I don't even like
Nice.
the whole thing is surreal. Eric, me, Connor, my creative partner, we're all just we're over the moon about it, and we're unbelievably thankful.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Big congrats.
Erica put the link to the channel. Go subscribe to Jake's channel, Human Egg Production. What he forgot to tell you is he was the only one that submitted. That's why he won. But no, I'm just joking.
There is that. Yeah. We.
No, but seriously, man, that's awesome. And
It is.
He posted on social media. If you guys follow him on social media, he posted all over social media. We had a little moment last night, congratulating him and everything. And I just wanted him to share it on this channel. We have 80 beautiful people in this stream. So I wanted to, if we can have all 80 of you after this stream, of course, don't go anywhere yet, but after this stream, go check out that movie. How long is the movie? I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet because I want to review it and everything. I'm just moving.
So the max time was 7 minutes, and like I think it was 6:59, and then we like tacked on some credits for the YouTube upload. So like, dude, we
There
were
you
at the line, man. It was wild.
Oh, wow.
Okay, perfect. And I want to at some point, once I get done moving, I want to watch it, and then I want to review it and throw some stuff up on this channel to promote it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
just wanted to give you a moment, Jake, to share that, because that's awesome, and it's something to be
It
very
is.
proud of, and we're proud of you, seriously.
Well, thank you
Yeah,
very
man.
much.
Of course. So let's get into a couple super chats real quick, and then we will jump into the rest of the conversation. Hey guys, what is your percentage that the robot Ghostface is a human? If it's a human, when we might have two killers. Go ahead.
Well, it's funny because when we did the reaction and earlier in the day, and then Jake and I were on Thursday night, we all talked about that. It just, when he first comes up with his arm, it just, look, this is either $1 million robot or you know what I'm saying. And the other thing too, I mean, supposedly we have this whole idea of a drama club in it. Wouldn't that be like super meta? Someone's actually pantomiming or whatever. I mean, I just think it's quite possible. It would be a sick scene. I mean, it already looked like a really sick scene. Maybe the other ghost face is coming up from behind. But I would say, I don't know. I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling it could be at least 75%, maybe even 80%. Because, and granted, a lot of that is because I want it, because I just think it would be so badass. But right now, that's where I'm feeling. I think it would be, it would be great.
Well, I would love for this movie to open up with two ghost faces. I think that was just such a big highlight of Scream 6 for me, is to see two ghost faces killing somebody at the same time. Right. I gotta put the quotation marks up, guys. But to start the movie off with that would be awesome. And there's kind of reason to believe that. I brought this up on Knight's page. I'm sorry, long-winded answers tonight. Apologies. Knight and I were discussing how there's sequences that look like it's supposed to be Sydney's attic that I think is very clearly Stu's attic, because there's some Woodsboro stuff you can see in the background. You got to turn up the exposure and all that, but like it's there. There's Woodsboro High stuff. Sure, that could be in Sydney's attic too, but it kind of looks like Stu's attic from that brief scene we get in the original film. So the trailer is dark. You're right.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I think it would make sense if there was two ghost faces, one going after Michelle Randolph's character, and someone chases Jimmy Tatro up into the attic, and that's where we get like a crazier kill than even the one we got to see in the trailer. I'm done.
Right.
You think we get a Real Bros of Hollywood, or Real Bros of what is it called? Damn it, the theme that he's in, the spoof that he's in. Do you think we get like a reference to that? What is it? The YouTube theme that he used to do? What is it? Real Bros.
Oh.
What is it called? It's not SoCal. What is it?
I know what you're talking about. I was looking it up when he got cast.
Yeah, Anyway, appreciate you, Hollywood guy. Jason, coming out the $5 super chat. Can you pick one to happen in Scream 7? Radio Tower being heavily involved, snapping turtle trap, or Sydney saying evil dies tonight? You guys were. I'm not gonna lie, I would love evil dies tonight. I just think it'd be hilarious.
That
like,
would.
It'd be such like nice, like, you want to talk about meta? Like, you know, like if she's about to like take, like she has like an act or something about to take on Ghostface, and she's like, "Evil dies tonight," and just
right.
hacks at Ghostface. That'd be great. I'd be losing my shit in the theater.
Right.
What about you guys? Which one that you remember?
It would be hilarious if they did that. It wouldn't surprise me, man. I mean, they do nods to Halloween. I mean, why not? I don't know if it would necessarily be in that type of a scene with Sydney, because, you know, I think that they're, you know, they just have a lot of respect for her character, and it kind of would come off cheesy. But maybe one of the other people getting attacked or possibly killed might say something or whatever. I don't know. But it put it this way, it would not surprise me at all if they did something like that, or a strong nod, you know, to the recent Halloween trilogy.
Yeah, absolutely. Stella, coming out $2 super chat. 116 days.
There it
until
is.
Scream 7. Yes. Appreciate you, Stella. And I cannot wait. And once we get off this stream, it'll be 116 days and 5 hours. Or 115 days and 5 hours. Sorry. But appreciate you, Stella. Silver Princess, coming out the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Roman is the strongest Ghostface by. Well, first off, thank you for the super chat. Secondly, I mean, there is a genuine argument to that. I think, like, depends on what your definition of strongest is. I mean, he was the mastermind. He was the brains, right? I mean, he was the only solo Ghostface as far as we know, right, to this point. So, I mean, there's definitely that. I would lean, if you're talking about just, like, strength and, like, badass Ghostface, I would lean Mickey. But if you're talking about, like, the brains and the brawn, then yes, it's Roman. I agree. What about you guys?
Silver Princess comes into like every stream now and then and says this, and I just think it's legendary. I got to throw that out there.
You got to stay consistent, man.
You got to stay consistent.
Got to. I love Roman. I mean, Roman kicks ass, man. And you know, it's funny because he's like the one Ghostface killer. As time has gone on, did I get more and more behind? You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, it might be one of the things I'm also most excited about is just seeing him come back into this and possibly getting more validated. You know what I'm saying? Like if they have a flashback that really kicks ass, you know, he's definitely one that I'm going to be really excited to see back on the screen.
Yeah, 100%. So, all right, let's get into the next topic until some more super chats trickled in, and then we'll answer the whatever is left over, if any, before we end the stream. So send those in. But I want to talk about the clear Halloween element, right? I mean, this is very 18 through ends. I mean, they have mirrored scenes. I mean, you have the scene with McKenna Grace, Isabel May, and Celeste O'Connor that just screams Halloween, right? You have the, you know, you obviously have the fire sequence, just like Michael standing in front of the fire, the house burning down. You have Ghostface walking like, you know, like in Die Hard or something with the fire in the background. Not just that, you have, I mean, we've talked about this leading up to the trailer, but now that we kind of have the confirmation, you also have this sort of, you know, Laurie, Allison dynamic. Parent dies in, you know, Mark. Parent dies in Karen type element that kind of catapults, you know, Allison into the forefront, Tatum into the forefront. I think we're going to get, especially now that we know Scream 8 is greenlit, I think Scream 9 is going to happen. I think we're going to get a trilogy with Tatum and Sydney. And I think what will happen is you'll have Sydney, this will be the forefront, Tatum kind of the victim. She even talked about how I want to fight and blah, blah, blah. You also have Sydney being prepared and just, you know, just like Laurie. Laurie was a little more obsessed than what Sydney seems, but just the preparation and kind of like, you know,
the
I have a plan, panic room type thing. So I just think you have all these elements sprinkled in, and I think you're going to get that kind of, you know, Sydney, Laurie, and then you're gonna get kind of them slowly, like in Kills, Laurie a little fall back. I think Scream 8, you'll see Sydney a little fall back, and then in the third, like ends, and then Scream 9, I think they'll completely fall back, and Tatum will be thrust in the front. What are your guys' thoughts on the Halloween sprinkled, or at least what appears to be? We'll start with Knight because he's the big Michael Halloween guy. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely evident. I mean, you even have ghosts. You gotta love this. I'm gonna rant for a second, but you even gotta love it when Ghostface does the sit up, just like Michael. As soon as I saw that, I was like, "There it is, baby!" Just like, I mean, and Halloween has done it too. Like in H2O, when Michael was trying to reach John through the gated the gate and all, and he's swiping like Ghostface. Michael doesn't do that. That's Ghostface. So I think these two franchises are always going to be interlinked. We know Kevin Williamson is a huge Halloween fan, 78. I think it's smart, because you can kind of take some of those things and build upon them and maybe do them better. I'm thinking to myself that they've got a great opportunity for Sydney and Tatum to have a much better relationship, a better performed type of relationship, something that's deeper, and we can actually say, wow, I felt that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would be monumental, and I really do think this could be a very strong Sydney film, and I'm here for it, because we haven't had one in a long time. I mean, seriously, that would be great. But I like the callbacks, and I also think Ghostface, and we were saying this on Thursday night, Ghostface, I mean, the framing is great, the shots are great, walking out after the house is burning down, it just looks great. It's like, this is what you need to have. You got to have your money shots when he's attacking in the bar area. Everything looks great. So I'm all here for it, and I think that it was intentional, because as we know, Halloween did a great job with what they did with James Jude Courtney as Michael, Aaron Armstrong as well. But there was just so many great frames. Michael always, the lighting was always good. When he was walking, you could see everything. These were things that even Halloween wasn't able to do in most of the sequels. So, the one thing about that trilogy you can say is that Michael was shot well, the lighting and so forth. So I think they're continuing to do this. And I think they did a great job with Ghostface in 5 and 6 to a big degree. That one scene where Ghostface turns around. I mean, that's straight out of 5. It looks just like, when he was attacking Tara in the beginning of 5. So I'm hyped up about it. I really am. It looks really, really good.
There's no doubt it's paralleling, the recent Halloween flicks. And I echo a lot of the things that Knight says. I think that, these are movies that are being talked about a lot in the same circles as, the new Scream movies being compared. I mean, I just made a video earlier this year talking about how the new I Know What You Did Last Summer copied Scream 5, which copied Halloween 2018. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it is a snake eating its tail. There's a lot that I think in return, Scream 7 can now comment on regarding those films. And not just that, I think also, after Halloween 2018, everybody was hot on Michael Myers. They're like, oh man, give us more of those. And then the next 2 films were very heavily panned by critics for totally different reasons. So could we kind of, if we're talking the meta commentary that this franchise is known for, could we kind of hit on not only not ripping on, but like kind of talking about what failed in Kills and Ends? If you feel that way, I'm someone who loves Kills, and I know plenty of you really like Halloween Ends. But point being, can we rip on that a little bit here in Scream 7 while also having a little bit of meta commentary just on the state of slashers, just like how this franchise kind of always does? I think you can, by talking about David Gordon Green's trilogy. I think it's still very relevant. And again, that new I Know What You Did Last Summer film is proof of it. I mean, that movie it's cyclical. That's the word that's coming to mind.
Definitely. My big concern is that obviously, we don't know off of the trailer. I mean, we've gotten films with terrible trailers that the films were great. We've gotten films with great trailers and the films were terrible, right? Mm-hmm. But my concern is that we get into the movie and we're like, okay, this is just Halloween redone. Like, I don't want to see that Halloween trilogy just with Ghostface instead of Michael. Right? I want them to be its own thing. Like, I don't mind little hints of it. I don't mind, kind of little callbacks. Like I said, little fun scenes. Scream and Halloween have always been intertwined. You had Halloween playing in the background in Scream, and then H2O used all the music from Scream. Like they've had like little kind of back and forth and like fun little connections and intertwines and stuff. So I'm okay with them. My fear is we get out of this movie and we're like, okay, that was just 18, and then we get out of Scream, it's like, okay, that was just kills. Right? Like I don't want that. I want this to be its own thing. I think you have a real kind of interesting dynamic here. But kind of two more kind of big kind of talking points that I want to do. First one is I want to talk about kind of Tatum. And it appears she's going to be the damsel in distress, right? You get what appears to be the moment she's going to get taken. And then, when she shoots through the thing and Ghostface jumps up and looks like gets her. But you also hear Sidney talk about, you touch my daughter, I'll kill you, kind of alluding to it. And then he's like, I want you to see it first. Yeah. And then two, you see Sidney running, and then a scene right after where she's on the phone screaming, where's my daughter? Or what did you do with my daughter type thing. So I imagine that we're going to get something where she ends up getting kidnapped. Are you okay with that? Or do you want her? Because like the whole thing is like Tatum wants to be a fighter. Are you okay with her kind of being the victim in this film, and that kind of catapults her into fighter? Maybe she's the fighter at the end that kind of does the deciding blow. Or do you want her and Sidney to kind of be this thing, or maybe even roles reverse, where Sidney actually falls victim and Tatum has to be the one to save mom after she fails to save dad, or something like that? What are your thoughts, Jake?
I mean, I've known since they cast her that it was going to be, Tatum is going through the same arc that we've already seen Sam Carpenter go through, essentially. I mean, it's maybe not the same wording, but it's the same thing. It's a criticism I've had of the film basically for over a year now. I know that it's going to feel maybe a little repetitive, maybe even a little redundant, but maybe because it's Sidney's daughter, the fan base might vibe with it a little more. I'm over the whole passing the torch thing. I think the Conjuring just did it. I Know What You Did Last Summer just did it. Every franchise has done it, and now Scream has done it multiple times, not even twice, 3 times. So we already did the passing of the torch thing the best in Scream 4. Because it wasn't a passing of the torch. And that's what I thought was kind of brilliant. It was a misdirection, and that's Scream, baby. So I don't think you're ever going to get better than that. The fact that we're doing this for time number 3 is kind of shocking to me. But also on the same side of that coin, I also just don't think you can have a sequence where Cindy is in peril anymore. She's going to get saved. That's what's maybe the general audience isn't thinking about that, but I'm going to be thinking about that.
Right.
Night. Oh, did we lose him? Oh, I think we lost him. And Ghostface got him.
Ghostface couldn't give his take. It's crazy.
I know. Darn it. Well, when he comes back, we'll get his answer. Let's keep the party rolling. Just a couple of things I want to talk about was kind of some kind of quick hits, right? So, one, Roger L. Jackson, Ghostface. I've seen a lot of people talk and mention that Ghostface sounds older, right? Which people kind of point to Stu, right? Like, oh, maybe Stu's back because he's older. But do you think that has any kind of implication in this film in any way, or do you think it's just Roger L. Jackson's just getting older, so that's just the voice, and they're going to use Roger L. Jackson as long as they can?
That's a really good question, because like Roger's definitely doing a different thing with his voice, and I don't think it's just because he's older. I also feel like it's like he's talking like a little slower than last. He's drawing out words a little more, and like I've heard Roger in interviews before say that he tries to mimic the person who is Ghostface, like a little bit with like cadence and, just delivery in general. So I'm curious, like I'm just looking at the cast, I'm trying to think who fits that mold the best. The line that sticks out to me the most is when Ghostface jumps out of the attic, and I think he says something like, "I'm not hiding, not this time." And just like that slow draw, I don't know. It's just that's got to be specific to a character. It doesn't feel like a Ghostface line we've heard before.
Yeah. And then, so we got to talk about the skirt, right? So for those that don't know, included in Skirtgate. So for those that don't know, not every Scream film, but like 4 out of like the 6 films have all clued you in on who the killer was. It's all been somebody that wears flannel, but specifically blue flannel, right? Because Scream 4, Trevor wears flannel, which is a clear kind of misdirect, right? Like, oh, they're doing the boyfriend again. It's Sydney, it's Sydney 2.0 with the boyfriend being the killer, but really it's Jill's the killer. They did the whole switch. That's why you see Trevor in flannel, but he's never wearing blue. He's wearing red flannel, red and black flannel, or he's wearing gray and black flannel, right? So, but you have Billy, blue flannel. You have Jill, blue flannel. Charlie, blue flannel. You have, well, his was kind of blue and brown, but it was still blue flannel. And then you had Richie in blue flannel. Well, if you watched the trailer, you saw McKenna Grace just sitting there, walking, no big deal, a little pink ensemble on top, nice little handbag on her way to school or something. And then you notice, like sticking out like a sore thumb, a blue skirt. But not just a blue skirt, a blue flannel skirt. So what do you think, Jake? Do you think it's something? Do you think it's nothing?
Yeah, my Ghostface prediction is McKenna Grace and Anna Camp. I think it's an early predictor. And here's my thing about it too, because everyone's going to be like, but why would they put that in the trailer? Fans will point that out. It's not a blue flannel shirt, so it is different, Yeah. I think that's going to be the argument, because I think you can go back and forth on it, but what does that mean? Come on, dude. She's one of the killers. I know everyone's going to say it's misdirection, it's this, it's that. Sometimes things are just how they are, man.
I hope it's a little clever than that, because, then you just spoiled the Ghostface in the trailer, right? Like, just like we know that, like, hey, every Ghostface has worn flannel, particularly blue flannel. They know because they've done it deliberately, right? It's not accident, right? So my hope is that, I'm hoping that it is a bit of a misdirection, and it's not just, like, oh, hey, we're just following the same trope. I wouldn't be shocked if there's multiple killers in this film, but we'll see. I'm glad you caught that. Good job, Erica. We got Knight back. I think he's still there. We go. We got him back from the dead, just like Stu. No, I'm sure. But
man,
real quick, up to speed. One, what do you think of McKenna Grace in the blue skirt? Every Ghostface has worn, not every Ghostface, but a majority of them have worn a blue plaid shirt. Do you think that it's something? Do you think like, oh, because it's a skirt, it's a little different? Do you think it's a misdirection? What do you think?
Wouldn't it be cool if it was a misdirection? Look, it was so in your face, man. As soon as she was like right there, you couldn't miss it. It was like basically waving at you, like, hi, look at me. It would kind of be cool if it was a misdirect. Of course, a lot of us have speculated, the possibilities with her, and obviously, when you get some of these bigger names in these films, you're always gotta like give it a side eye. But I look, if I was to take a guess on which side it was, I would think it's probably gonna hold true. I don't know, man. It's like, why not?
And then go ahead. You got some?
I'll also just throw out real quick that, for me, is Scream all about fooling me as to who the killer is? Not necessarily. Like, I think for me, what's more interesting about the Ghostfaces at this point is what is the motive? What we're going to sit here and talk about what the motive is. And we're going to come up with 100 answers and only one of them is going to be right.
Look, at this point, if you've watched enough Scream movies, you can kind of deduce who the killers are, right? Even this film, there's 18 characters in this film, but 9 of them right off the bat, aren't going to be the killers, right? So it's just, then you're just cross elimination. And then if they have 2 or 3 or whatever, then that it's probably you're going to be 50%, 50-50 shot. So we'll see. But, and then also, what do you make of Roger L. Jackson's voice in this? A lot of people talk about his voice seems a little different, a little deeper, right? Do you think it's just Roger L. Jackson's age catching up, or do you think that there's actually a purpose to that? It's something to that.
I don't know if I would say it sounded that much different. I mean, obviously he's older. Um, I don't think it's anything like more than that. I mean, it could be. I mean, obviously when we're talking about theories, we're going all the way in. I mean, maybe there is something to that, but I just took it as, look, Roger's 30 years older now. I mean, it happens, 30 years is a long time. I mean, even for Sydney, look at Matthew Lillard, look at Sydney, look at Courtney Cox, look at David Arquette. David Arquette sounds very different in 5 than he does in 1 or 2 or even 3, So I don't think it's much more than that. Do you?
So Jake thinks. Go ahead. You tell him what you said.
Okay.
Your answer
Well,
to that was.
It's a simple change up, I think, across most movies. Roger says that he tries to emulate the cadence and delivery of like whoever the Ghostface ends up being. Like you can kind of hear him doing a Richie impression in Scream 5 is probably like the best example of it. Like, dude, watching that movie so many times, that opening scene, he's doing Richie. Like, I mean, he's doing it up. It's great. But I don't, is that anything here? I'm not sure, but like he does have that line. There's a few lines in the trailer where he draws them out a little longer than usual. They don't feel like typical Ghostface lines to me, but I like it. I'm digging it.
I dig that. That's cool.
Like Blicka said, Scream is no longer a who done it. It is a why done it, which actually that's a good thing. I don't know why, but Critical, he said, what would you do for Scream 8? It reminded me of the Family Guy episode where it's like, what would you do for a Klondike bar? He's like, I don't know. He's like, would you kill a man? Sure. Right? Like, it's kind of, I don't know why that immediately popped in my head when I saw his comment. First off, what's up, buddy? Secondly, that made like immediately I was like thinking like, what would you do for Scream 8? I don't know. Would you kill a man? Sure.
Would you kill a man, Tyler?
Don't ask him that on air.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But last couple questions and then we'll skate on out here. One, so obviously there were a handful of characters that worked in the trailer. Do you guys think that was purposeful? I imagine it's purposeful, but purposeful in the sense of like trying to avoid, like some of those characters probably have a scene or two with that. Do you think it's to kind of mask Ghostface? Do you think most, if not all of them, could be Ghostface? Right? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think a bigger part of it, and I could be wrong, was really to just bask in Sydney, and really give us a sense of this is a Sydney friggin' story through and through. I mean, she is not only back, but she's like so prominent. This whole idea of being a mother and what that means. I mean, just think about that. Like they could have some really great moments for her as a character where the whole idea of her daughter, when you think about your kids going through some of these types of things that she went through, that's horrifying. It truly is. And not only that, but it's like even the thought of getting close to going through some of that stuff, it's just because it can totally damage a person. So I think that a big part of what they wanted to do with this trailer is really get Neve Campbell front and center and give us this whole idea of the motherhood and angle and all of that. And it was probably a dual purpose because the more you hide the other things that are going on with the other characters, the more mysterious it's going to be, until we're actually there seeing the film. So I think it was probably like a dual purpose to doing that.
Yeah, I echo a lot of what Knight was saying. I also feel like, just vibes from the trailer, this is a more contained story too. I feel like in terms of what can we show, I feel like a lot of it is stuff they really want to wait until, the movie actually drops. We might, when the next trailers come out, because we're going to get more, we're going to get like a second and a final trailer, of course, we're probably going to we probably will get our first shots of all the other characters, like in little quick glimpses. But I just think that this is a much more contained story to a small town once again, maybe having more of an original Scream vibe rather than how grandiose the series has gotten in other sequels.
I agree.
Okay. Last two questions. One, do you think they go the cult route? Yes or no? Jake?
No, I think it's one or two people again.
Knight?
I think if they do, I think it's possible, but I don't think it's going to be, 5 or 6 Ghostface killers. It might be the type of thing where, again, there's this idea that there's a couple of people that have kind of been pulled into this group. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's going to be, a whole, at one point, I think we were talking about an idea or rumor that there would be like, 8 Ghostface killers and everyone's, surrounding Sydney and all that type of
What they
thing.
wanted to do a Scream 3 originally, where like
Yeah.
everybody died, were all like fake.
Yeah.
deaths.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be like that, but it wouldn't surprise me if they kind of have 3, or maybe 4 Ghostface killers. I mean, hell, it would be cool if they had a scenario where maybe all of the Ghostface killers aren't seeing eye to eye, or maybe they're actually not all on the same page. But that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Yeah. Okay. And then my follow-up question was going to be, how many Ghostface do you think will be in this movie? 2, 3, 7, 3? Jake? 2? Oh, wow.
We're going back to old school Scream. I think it's just going to be 2 killers again. Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. All right, we got a couple more super chats, and then we will do our last little roundup, and then talking Star Wars coming out the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I think McKenna is a Ghostface. Maybe she's an early Ghostface kill, like Jason from Scream 6. So, I mean, that would be cool, right? I mean, you got a brief little moment with McKenna Grace, right? Like I said, with the skirt. Would they do something like an early ghost, especially if they have 3 or more? It makes sense to maybe have one early. There were rumors going around that there was an early kind of reveal and stuff. Maybe it is McKenna Grace, maybe they kind of go there. What are your guys' thoughts? Jake?
I'll say just real quick, I think that there's that one scene where you see Sydney walking up to, a crowd of people next to an ambulance or something. What's going on there? Is that a, Ghostface dead on the ground? That would be kind of different. It'd be cool. Yeah. So
nice.
It's possible. I don't foresee that though. I don't think she's going to be killed early like Jason. We just did that in 6. I don't think that'll happen. I could be wrong though.
Okay. And then talking Star Wars, coming out with another $5 super chat. I think if McKenna Grace is Ghostface, did you send it twice? Oh, well, yeah. That's is that? No, yeah. That's
I think he thought you missed it. I saw a few chats.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Maybe you weren't here when I mentioned it earlier. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. If you have another comment you want to add, I'll keep an eye on the chat while we're rounding up, and then if you have one more comment, just so that way you get your money's worth, we'll answer that for you. Because thank you, I really appreciate that. But I feel bad that you sent it twice. So if you have something else you want to add, I'll keep an eye out for it and then answer that. But last little kind of roundups and everything, and then we'll do our closing outs. What are kind of like your general hopes, promises, rundowns for Scream 7? What are you looking for in Scream 7? Knight, start with you.
I want a good mystery. I want a good story. I should say story rather than mystery, because sometimes that's, different. But I just want a good story. I want to be entertained. I want it to have a fresh feeling. I want it to get back to the suspense. It looks like it's going to get to that. I want the characters to have good chemistry and moments. I want to talk about these characters, 10 years from now, like we've done with some of the previous movies. Well, most of the previous movies. That's what I want. And if I can leave the theater like that, feeling good about that, then I think it's a win for me.
Yeah, and echoing that, and also I want to see a good Sydney story. I want there to really be a reason we're focusing on her again. I feel like that's such a big thing for me. I'm so worried that we're gonna the same thing is gonna happen to Sydney Prescott that just happened to Laurie Strode. Like, maybe this is a hot take. I don't know. I don't care about Laurie Strode anymore after Halloween Ends. Like, that was just such a out of character performance for me. I would hate for that I would hate for Sydney to come back and for me to not like what's going on with her character on screen. That would really bum me out, as I think she's the best final girl out there. So I hope they do it with respect.
Okay. And then Talking Star Wars said, I think 2, one in Woodsboro and the other in Pine Grove. It's actually a good point, right? Like, because we see one Ghostface obviously in Woodsboro, burning down Stu's house. Do we have is there a possibility that we get two kind of locations? Could maybe some of these characters be in different locations, and then maybe Chad and Mindy and Gail end up getting attacked, and Ghostface kind of follows and funnels them, or maybe that's how Ghostface finds Sydney, right? They follow Chad, Mindy, and Gail, and then Star Wars also said it's weird we don't see Anna Camp because she's famous. Yeah, I mean we had several characters unless she's under one of the masks. I mean it's very possible. Anna Camp, obviously she is well known. She's somebody that many people are excited to see in this film. So it would be kind of interesting if they kind of went that route of it. But anyway, like I said, I just wanted to kind of felt bad that you doubled up on the super chats, so I really appreciate that. But yeah, so real quick on the way out, make sure you subscribe to Killjoy Jake, subscribe to Craven Something Scary 2, subscribe to the Night Watch Zone and all their channels, and then also of course subscribe here. Make sure to like this video, all of that. What are you guys doing? We're back to Jake next week for the Lethal Collective, correct?
Yep.
And then it'll be Night and then me again. So we'll next Monday it'll be on Killjoy Jake. What do you guys got going on as we sign out of here?
I will literally, hopefully in 3 seconds, be going on a stream on my channel.
Night, if you gotta go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I gotta get going, guys. But I will catch you guys soon.
Yes.
Alrighty.
The voice is on, and I gotta go for that. I hate to say that's why I gotta go, but
beautiful. So
my fiance is gonna kill me. Hey, Fate, thank you so much for having me on. So much love.
Yes.
Check out Brahmin Synthetic. That's what I'll say.
Yes, go check out that channel. Everybody, I appreciate you guys. Everyone that gave me super chats, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Anybody that hung out, thank you so much. You people are beautiful. And we will see you all on Jake's channel next time. Appreciate you guys. See you soon.